Philip. And I just want to also say, anyone in California, kudos to you because it's only 7 o'clock in the morning there. And I give you a lot of credit getting up to do this. So we're going to talk about the say-do gap. Real briefly, in 2017, when I first met our CEO, Michael, I was sitting in a beautiful office and overlooking the Hudson in Manhattan. And when I started to learn about what we do, I actually was kind of stunned. I smiled and I got really excited. Why was I stunned? Because I knew that hardly anyone in the US knew about this technology. And I smiled when I thought about the potential. And I got really excited because I was focusing on trying to find technology that was not in the States and bring it to the US. And I knew that this was going to help a lot of market research companies and brands improve their ROI. Interesting statistic, and I'll explain why it matters. Today in the world, there are more people alive today than ever died. What does that mean? How does it relate to attention, the say-do gap, and success? We're going to get into that. And the core message that I want to get across today is when we pre-test digital ads in the natural environment, it is a superior methodology than just doing surveys because we measure actually what people do, not what they say they do. Over 147 years ago in 1879, John Wanamaker, he was the first person to buy a full-page ad in the newspaper. And people asked him, they thought he was nuts. They said, how do you know it works? And his answer was that half the money I spend on advertising works. The trouble is I just don't know which half. My goal after these next 20 plus minutes, you won't have to ask that question anymore. Distraction is destruction. FOMO, fear of missing out. We, as we all know, are being bombarded by more and more ads every day. And just to give some perspective, 1900, the number of ads that people were exposed to in the US were between 20 and 100, depending on where you lived, a day. That was it. Urban dwellers had more. It was almost all local print. You had newspaper, magazines, and some billboards in the cities. We fast forward 50 years. TV is just getting started. A few hundred potential exposures a day. Radio was really dominant. Newspaper, magazines. TV was really just getting adopted. It was still limited, early 50s. As things go faster and faster, we go to 1960, and TV clutter started to rise. How much did it rise? The average, approximately 46 TV commercials a day. That was it. Now we move to 2000. Really, the internet is just getting started, early days. Now, depending on where you get your information from, say between 500 and 2,000 exposures a day. We're talking about just a day. TV and radio were major. Internet banners were starting to emerge. Now we go to last year. Estimates between 4 and 10,000 exposures a day, and some sources say between 6 and 10,000. Internet has exploded, digital banners, social media, sponsored posts. So what's going on is there is a distraction that we all have. And if you look at this picture here, that may be a familiar picture that when you go out to eat with friends or walking down the street. So this distraction has a major effect on consumers' attention and is a serious challenge for advertisers to get attention in this marketplace with this bombardment. So we look at distraction is destruction. If there's no focus, there's no attention. If I move my hands like this, I have attention, it's totally meaningless. But if you have no attention, you have no impact. If you have no impact, no purpose. And that means there's no threat for you in the marketplace to have a factor and to make a difference in this really competitive market. So fear of missing out, we have constant stimulation, and there's a need they feel like they need to stay informed. And because of this, they get distracted from what's important, what their mission is, being productive. And in media, FOMO refers, it's an anxiety or an unease that people feel when they think about others are having a more rewarding, exciting, or more important experience and they're not part of it. In modern media today, FOMO is deliberately amplified and it's often weaponized. We see it in our daily life. Social media, you have these endless highlight reels, party pictures, travel posts, limited time events. So it creates this constant sense that everyone's doing something better than me right now. In news, you have these fast-moving viral moments, breaking news, and it's pushing this fear of being out of loop. And in streaming and entertainment, everyone's watching and talking about the show now. You have limited time releases. You want to see this before it's gone. So it's creating more and more of this FOMO. And marketing and brands, we have flash sales, NFT mints, last chance messaging. All of this is leaning really heavy on the fear of missing out to drive action. So really, in short, today, media today is turning to FOMO. It's an emotional trigger. It's a core emotional trigger that making people feel like they're falling behind, whether culturally, socially, financially, and if they don't engage right now. And it is very, very real. So we talk about the say-do gap. We all know there's a well-known mismatch between what people say they're going to do or feel and what they actually do. And I think when you look at just surveys, which for over 100 years plus, that's what most of market research was done with surveys. People say, yeah, I'm definitely going to buy this, or I'm going to recycle, or I'm going to exercise. And in real life, they don't. Common examples where people say they care about the environment in a survey and they would pay more for sustainable products. But when you look at actual purchase data, there's a far lower action when price or convenience is actually factored in. And in a survey, people say they're going to switch to a new brand. But when we look at in-store or online behavior, they're sticking with old habits. Then we talk, I think almost everyone can relate to this, exercise. In January, everyone's going to exercise, we're going to eat healthy. But when you look at fitness apps or grocery store data, that's not the case. And I think one really, really strong example that most of us experienced back in 2016, there were 19 polls that were done in early November, right before the election. And all of them but one had Clinton winning 90, 95%, was almost 100%. Only one had it with Trump winning. And they did something very unique in their survey. It was almost like an indirect secret ballot. Instead of asking you who you're going to vote for, which was everyone did, they asked who would your neighbor vote for. And this allowed people who didn't want to admit they're going to vote for Trump to do that. So what people say and what they do, there's a big gap, and there's a lot of data on it, a lot of white papers on it. So the old way, and really what causes this gap? It's rarely people lying. It's human psychology and the real world restraints, the busy times we live in. There's social desirability biases. People want to look good. Then you have unconscious biases, people's memories, limitations, what's going on in their personal life, what's going on at the time when they're taking the survey, what's going on in their brain, what's going on. So situational too, price, availability, their time, their habits, and surveys just don't replicate that. I think a few really good examples of some big disasters happened from just doing surveys was back in 2009. Tropicana redesigned their package, and with surveys result, they tried this new package, but within just a few weeks, their sales dropped 20%. They had a $30 million loss, and within 2 months, they went back to the original package. So real world behavior testing will often contradict what people say they're going to do in surveys. And when we look at meta-analysis across product categories, intentions are often really poor indicators of sales. So we talk about real human experiences breakthrough. This is really big. And we're seeing it in the marketplace with the brands and market research companies who use our technology. This technology enables us to measure actual behavior in a natural environment without consumers being aware it's being tested. Now they know it's a test, but they don't know what's being tested, and you'll see it shortly. So why does it matter? Marketers and researchers have been relying on self-reported insights for decades, over 100 years, to forecast demand, to test products, concepts, measure brand preference. The problem is this say-do gap, and what it can lead to is overstatement of demand of new products, failed launches of new products. There are some real big ones. We don't have time to go through all that. When they're high intent from a survey, didn't translate into sales. So really the bottom line for brands is while surveys are inexpensive and fast, and they're something we've always done, they can sometimes give us vanity metrics. that don't translate into sales. So there is a better way. Testing in natural environment is becoming the gold standard because it reduces the risks of expensive flops. It delivers accurate ROI forecasts. It lets you optimize for real revenue. And there's a disconnect between survey scores and real consumer behavior, which evaporates when real consumers vote with their wallets. So, human experience. When we say system zero, our CEO coined this term that we're talking about perception. And perception is the starting point of every successful contact. System zero is the foundation to get good results with system one and system two research. It's a research innovation where ads are tested in a natural environment with implicit consumer responses and explicit behavior recorded. The results are far more predictive and reliable than just asking questions when people are tested in a natural environment. And so you need to use all three. We need to have system zero, perception, system one, system two, to really get valid insights. The old two system factor theories, it's really inefficient to explain behavior and preferences and perception. So we'll start just going through social media, and then we'll add e-commerce. And instead of just getting just attention, we're going to talk about meaningful attention. Because attention, as I mentioned earlier, if I wave my arms, I have attention. It's no meaning at all. But when we can start measuring real meaningful metrics and show how we can combine what we're doing in the live in context and social media and VOD and many other sites, combine it with what they do on e-commerce, we really are looking at like a new currency in measuring ad success. So what we're able to do, we pull the content, we control everything. It's like a sandbox. We can take live content off the API, and then we inject the ad. In this example, this is on Facebook, Meta. They'll go through a survey first, which I'll show shortly. Then they'll ask them, you'll now be taken to Facebook. Take a look at the pages you would naturally. And after 90 seconds, the survey will automatically continue. The time is based on how long the ad is. We have best practices based on what ads being tested. They start in the browser. They don't have to download an app. They don't have to log in. They're going to see live content, and then we're going to inject the ad in the Facebook example, typically in the third position. And they'll go through this experience. As I mentioned, we started on social media, mainly because that's where all the ad dollars are going. And as we all know, things are moving very fast. Video demand sites, I think we have 30 or 40 of them. We have over 200 other platforms like HBO Max, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Prime Video, Amazon, Peacock. We also do e-commerce media in over 60 countries, and we're constantly adding new sites based on demand. They work at all platforms, are browser-based, all ad formats, panel-friendly, and are fully automated. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the metrics because it would take too long and the print would be too small because there's a lot. We measure what we're measuring on social media and on the other platforms is attention and interest. And this is a really simple example just to show we're measuring behavior, all possible interactions. So you're getting attention and interest in behavioral metrics, again, where they don't know what's being tested. They know it's a test, but they don't know what's being tested. And you'll see shortly. This example was an ad on YouTube and on Facebook. And these are some of the metrics: visibility. And because of time, I'm not going to go through the definitions of everything. On the desktop, we have hover. Did they click on the ad? Did they play it? Did it start? How long? Facebook, you have to turn on the sound. Did they? When did they do it? And for how long? Facebook, did they skip it and when? And some of the real important video metrics. This is showing when they dropped off. So you can see it at 10% of the ad, you had about 40% still watching YouTube, whereas you had maybe 17, 15% on Facebook. And this is another really important data point that you cannot ask in a survey. How many people saw 75, 50, and so forth? In this case, more people saw 75% of the ad on YouTube than saw it at all on Facebook. Real important data, behavioral metrics that you can't get by asking, and to help you know which ad you should be running on which platform. So we have the social media, And this really exploded during the lockdown when people couldn't go to stores, where we have people call it add to cart. And there are many variations of this, but for time purposes, what we're really looking at is meaningful attention. Respondents will browse through social media sites for a fixed amount of time, exposed to an ad, natural environment. They don't know what's being tested. Then they seamlessly, when they're done, you'll see this shortly, go to an e-commerce platform and type in the search category of the product they're exposed to on the social media platform and ask to put something in the cart. Very simple, not complicated. People will run a control cell where there's no ad, and we want to see what does that lift? What is that ad lifting as far as bringing people to measure it? And there's three things I'll get to in a minute. Also, people will test multiple ads, multiple platforms, multiple countries to make sure they run the right ad on the right platform in the right country. And so we're measuring behavioral metrics of attention, interest, and purchase throughout the whole shopping funnel of the search results page, product detail page, and through purchase. And it looks like this. First, you have the screener to make sure they're the right people taking the test. And this, again, works with any panel company or survey platform globally. And then people will go to Facebook, as I just mentioned. And then we also can control the environment. If someone wants to have the environment where it's sports or it's news or it's electronics, whatever it is, we can control the whole environment. And we pull this content. So then you can see with a click over there to turn on the sound. We're measuring any interaction. So on the social media, we're going to know how long was it in screen? Did they click on it? Did they make it full screen? Did they turn the sound on? Any interaction at all. So then we are going to take them. Just a second here. Now they were exposed to iced tea ads. Now we'll be taking Walmart, search for iced tea, place any product of your choice in the cart. And once you've added a product, it will go to a survey. So we want to do all of the behavioral metrics before they have any idea what's being tested. And again, we will pull off the content and control the whole environment. We, depending on the platform, we inject it into the third position here, and we measure everything. Did they go through the carousel? Did they click and go to product detail page? Did they put it in the cart? So we're going to measure all that, and then it's going to go to a survey. So why is this a breakthrough? So you're getting authentic behavior. Consumers act naturally because they don't know what's being tested. There's no survey bias. Test occurs in actual social media and e-commerce environments. If you want to be next to a certain product, we can move a product next to it to see how you compete with a competitive product, to see how well you do. And you can change pricing. You can change the competitors. We call it the sandbox, and you can do almost anything in your sandbox. So we measure what people actually do, not what they say they do, because we think behavior is the ultimate proof. Pre-launch validation, it's very important to pre-launch so you don't spend a fortune on media that's not going to work. And it also, you don't want to put something out there that maybe your existing clients are not too happy about. So what we're measuring on the e-commerce side, these are things that are usually done in a survey. Which product were you aware of? Which would you consider? Which would you which would you buy? So instead of asking these questions, these three behavioral metrics are really reflecting the consumer journey through the whole funnel. So we don't ask, what are you aware of? We measure it. We don't ask, did you click and go to the product detail page, which is a sign of interest? And most importantly, they put it in a cart. And a snapshot from a high-level view, this was a test with 4 different ads and a control with no ad. And you can see the shopping task up here, share a purchase. Did they click and go to product detail page? And then survey questions. What this does, it enables you to take the guesswork out. Like John Wanamaker said, I know half my ads work. I just don't know which one. In this case, we know the third ad had a significant increase in sales and interest of going to product detail page. Takes the guesswork out. So this is a paradigm shift. So you can test before going live, as I mentioned, so there's no ad wasted and you don't upset current customers. You can compare platforms objectively. identify which creative delivers the best ROI, and you can optimize elements in the shopping funnel, do some interesting research on the carousel, and fast results. So traditional survey, what they say they're going to do. Here we're going to measure what they actually do. In a survey, in most cases, they know what's being tested. In the natural environment, no awareness of the product being tested. The environment in the survey is artificial. In natural environment, both e-com and social media are in the real environment. Data is self-reported in the survey. Here we just observe behavior. High biases in the survey, extremely low. And you have a predictive power. There's a weak correlation. We have a lot of white papers on that. There's a lot of data. And with natural environment, it's superior sales prediction. So now we understand every aspect of human experience by their behavior. So we help you understand what users are going to see, think, feel, and do. And you're probably wondering, how are you doing what they see and feel and do? So we're going to talk about SEAL, Smart Eye Tracking, app-free landmark technology. So consumers are going to interact with ads in the wild. They don't know what's being tested. We're going to measure the behavior and learn attention and interest. A little too fast. How long the ad has been on screen. All the interactions, and with CP products, we're going to know about purchase. So we have what they do and what they say they're going to do in a survey following. Let's go deeper. Now we can add what they see. And SEAL is really a landmark breakthrough in technology. There's no app to download, no special hardware, no lab. So participants, they simply just click on a mobile link on the phone and instantly deliver precise eye tracking data through the browser. It's really the first true phone breakthrough that makes professional grade eye tracking easy as opening a web page. You get fast, cheaper, more scalable than going into a lab. And it really turns every smartphone into a research lab. It's really a landmark moment where researchers finally can go mobile. And it's really game changing. As I mentioned, I hit it on a lot because the big thing is there's no app to download. So to get just a brief view and in context, we know percentage of people saw the ad. It was in screen. Visibility, we saw how many people clicked on it, what percent, and how many turned on the sound. Now we're going to know on this ad what percentage of people actually saw the ad, how long they looked at it, and how fast they found it. This is just a deeper dive when you're doing social media ads. We're doing, so we're getting the behavior. My slides jumping a little quick. We're getting the behavior. We're now going to what they see, what order, and how long. And there's one more piece of the puzzle is emotion. And because of time, I'm not going to go into this deep, but we can go frame by frame to see where, in this case, happiness, surprise, and respect. And you can combine this with eye tracking in the live in context. And the last thing I'm going to show, we're a little bit over, is the world is moving fast. And you now test on ChatGPT. This ads are now appearing directly on ChatGPT. This is really, our business moves very, very fast. And in short, the large language model ads, it's really the next evolution in digital advertising. So we're going to be shifting. You're going to see over time, early adapters, low adapters, just like the internet, just like social media and everything else, shifting from search results on ads to AI conversations with embedded brands. And to give you an idea what that would look like. So they're taken to ChatGPT. In this case, you'll have an ability to test this yourself. And they write in there, tell me about cat food for overweight cats, obese cats. And they'll get the real results of what's being added here. And this, again, we're early in the game here, but it's good to be early than late. And so you're going to get the real results. Then you're going to see these ads. So what are the meaningful attention takeaways? We're going to bridge the say-do gap with real behavior in natural environment. Better ROI by naturally testing You predict actual purchases better than surveys, and you're getting deeper insights with attention and emotion, where traditional surveys just can't deliver that. I want to thank everybody very much. And Philip, I'll let you know if there are any questions, because on my screen, I can't see anything.
No, that's totally fine. Thank you so much, Jeff. And also really interesting that you also brought up the do part about AI. And if we ask people, how often did you use AI today actively? It's probably also the same question as if how often did you look at your phone? All these questions that we used to ask. It's a great tool you showed. That's awesome. And yeah, I also have used the AI even within just the webinar. And don't ask me exactly what did I see and what did you do, and I can barely tell you which model I used. But there were a couple of questions in here, and some you have already answered because they were asked in the beginning of the webinar. So let's start with those been asked early. So in the do part, the person asked if it's also includes implicit measure or just behavior, and I think you already answered it partly.
Well, you do the behavior first because you want to be in an environment where they don't know what's being tested. They know it's a test, but they're going to scroll and do what they normally do. And then at the end of that, they will be taken to a survey. And the survey will then be the explicit. So we're going to get system 0 environment, system 1, and system 2 insights.
And I think the question was kind of going to the direction, what other implicit methods we could add. You mentioned the eye tracking, the seal as like our main implicit measure, but you could also add, since the camera is already on, you could also add the facial expression tracking.
Correct.
I think that's where the question was going.
That. Yeah, I did that. That was the emotion part right here.
Yeah.
Right there, exactly. I was going over the time limit, so I didn't spend a lot of time on the emotion.
No, it's fine. The question came in, I think, even before you showed the seal part. And then there's a question about the behavioral measurement on the in context platform. And the question is, what platforms can you do it on? So which
the list is quite long. If you're really, really interested, you can email me. My email's on here, bander@isquare.com. And the list is very, very long. You wouldn't be able to see it all on one slide. And we're constantly adding based on demand. I believe on platforms, there's over 200. In e-commerce, there's, I think, 60. I don't have the exact number, but when someone says, can you do it here? Our development team looks at it and they either say yes or no. In most cases, they say yes. We're doing some really interesting new things that I can't say right now. It's secret, but taking add to cart to a whole new genre, not just on e-commerce, but some other platforms. But so if you really, really want to know the answer to the list, I'll be happy to send it to you.
Awesome. Yeah, there was also one question here. If the demos or links or the deck as well are going to be shared, and yes, we'll definitely send to all of you a follow-up email containing the link to the deck and also to this webinar if you haven't watched all of it. And the demo links, will they also be included, demo links?
Sure. I've had a bunch of people from California who are not getting up that early ask the same question. And so we'll make sure don't make them have to get up and be on a webinar at 7 a.m. So we'll be sending a lot of them out there.
And there was also one question about when you show the social media platforms, how do you choose the content? Which person actually sees which content surrounding the ad? I think that's
we control that content. So like I mentioned briefly that if we want to, we can add electronics, we can add news, we can add sports, we can add we can take the content if there's some maybe kids toys. Well, you can take a channel and we can take that content from that channel. And another thing too, there especially on e-commerce, we pull our client can tell us who they want to be in the search result page. That's who we're going to put in. And sometimes people want to test themselves next to a certain competitor. We can do that.